Hello my friends and welcome to my last Halloween video for this year. Today we're using Whimsy stamps, paper and dies to make tags. I absolutely adore the Sleepy Hollow and Headless Horseman stamp sets because although I don't like horror movies, I'm always loving a Tim Burton movie. And Sleepy Hollow is one of my top 2 Halloween movies after Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. Anyway, I digress. Let's dive into this tag project, head first. I have a tag that I cut myself that's about 8 by 4.5 inches in 350 GSM watercolor cardstock and a bunch of Catherine Pooler green inks because I want this background intense. I also have Gina K masking magic paper that I cut a small circle out of to mask off a moon. I place my moon on my tag and make sure it's adhered and start blending my lightest green ink Melon Eyes over the edges of the mask to give the moon a glow. Then I blend in the medium green grass skirt from the sides and then the lighter green again in a ray down from the moon. And I go back and forth many times to make sure the blend is how I like it. I blend in the darkest green deck the holes from the sides and the yellow-green martini in the lower corners, and I go back and forth between the green colors until I have a smooth and vibrant background. For this tag I'm using a stamp set I think is called Run and Scream and Wow's Ebony Superfine Embossing Powder. I stamp the images in VersaFine Onyx Black ink and cover with black embossing powder and melt with my heat tool. Next I have 2 die sets from Whimsy and I die cut a bunch of gravestones, skulls, bats, cat, fences, cobwebs and spiders from white and black cardstock and from black fun foam for dimension. If you like me, like grunge, texture, Halloween and Whimsy stamps, I think you should follow the link in my description box to my friend Nancy, the Handi Scandi YouTube channel. She is amazing. So I have these 3 pieces of cardstock that will be flaps on the tag. I want them green but more muted, further away from the moon, so I bring out Distress Oxide inks in crushed olive, peeled paint, forest moss and black soot. I blend crushed olive first from the middle and peeled paint from the sides, followed by forest moss, but more centered around the edges, and finally I use black soot around the edges, framing my flaps and making them stand out from each other. I do the same on the 2 flaps next, but I also bring in ground espresso brown ink to darken them a step further. When the flaps are finished, I go around the tag with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I have my flaps and tag, and now we move on to the moon. For this I'm using my Lavinia Moon, a stamp that fit perfect in my masked off moon. I'm stamping in archival ink in peeled paint, and I pull off the mask. I place the Lavinia Moon on my tag and ink it up with peeled paint archival ink before I stamp my dark green moon. To tone down the stark white moon, I go over it with Melon Ice ink and some grass skirt ink for shadows. Before we move on with this green tag, I'm creating the parts for a second tag, and this time I'm using some Blue Blitz Nouveau Shimmer powders along with Storm Cloud and Meteorite Showers. I'm also using Cosmic Shimmer powder in denim blue and Brusho powder in black. All are different kinds of pigment powders, and I tap the containers to get the powders on my tag. The pigment powders react with water, so I spray the tag heavily with water. Then I add a little powder as needed and spray until I'm happy. When I'm done with the tag, I move on to the flaps and do the same on them, but I add a little Lilac Waterfall Shimmer powder because I'm going for a first snow winter sky. Next we're working on the green tag again, and I bring out the Run and Scream stamp set, black embossing powder, and I pull many of the sentiments and words in the stamp set and place them at the top part of the tag. I treat the tag with my anti-static powder tool and stamp the sentiments in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Cover with Wow's black embossing powder and melt with my heat tool. Then I fill in the rest in the right top part of the tag with words and do the same procedure again. Next I'm using the graveyard stamp from the same stamp set and place it on the first flap over on the tag. I try to make the stamp fit along the edge by masking off with washi tape. I heat emboss the images and finish this part off camera since it has stopped filming anyway. I'm sorry for that. Next we're coloring the zombie, the mummy, the gravestone and die cuts with SIG Clean Color Real Brush markers, starting with cool greys and black for the gravestone. Then I color the zombie's pants in brown and his shirt in orange. I color his skin in 4 shades of green, the dirt in browns and his brain in 2 shades of pink. For the bandages on the mummy, I use 4 shades of warm greys and a couple of beige for his skin. For the fences I'm using the cool greys and black and focus shading where one part meet another part. I'm using the black with cool greys combo for the skulls and bats. I am using a black fine liner to add some details to my die-cut gravestones, and then I color them the same way as the first stone. So, here are all my die cuts and images along with the same shapes cut out from black fun foam, and I glue all the die cuts and images on to the black fun foam counterparts. Everything is popped up on fun foam now, and I decorate the gravestones with RIP signs and skulls. For a sentiment I choose one from the set saying, "Of corpse, I'd like to make you run and scream, after all it's Halloween." And I use Wow's Kiwi Crush green embossing powder and heat emboss it on grey cardstock. I use the same green inks as I used on the flaps and blend them over the sentiment strip and buff off excess ink with a paper towel. To make the flaps fabulous and sturdy, I cover the backside with paper from the vintage Halloween paper pack. I love these papers, and it's the first pack of Halloween papers I got ever a few weeks ago. So now I have all my pieces for my first tag, and I use glue and clips to attach the flaps. Next I glue down the images, the gravestone, the zombie, the mummy and the die cuts on fun foam. I have a black tag slightly bigger than my green tag, and I glue it onto the back of my tag, giving it a thin black border. Then I continue gluing down sentiment, bat and other details. Next, we're finally going to do a Sleepy Hollow and Headless Horseman tag. I stamp the scarecrow and heat emboss it in black 2 times to get 2 scarecrows. I like all the sentiments in these sets, so I push that decision forward by using Wow's Blue Glitz embossing powder and heat emboss all the sentiments in that bright blue powder. Next, I heat emboss the other images and silhouette images in black. To color my few images quick and easy, I bring out my Alter New watercolor brushes and use 3 brown shades for the barn, trees and signs, and oranges and reds for the pumpkins and scarecrow. On the brown colored signs, I heat emboss words like danger and graveyard in black. To avoid choosing further, I decide to color all my blue sentiment squares with the same pigment powders as we used on the background. I add water to the powders and put down color quite random over the words and buff off excess with a paper towel so the blue words can shine bright. We're back with a green tag for a minute, and I add die-cut black cobwebs and spiders to the inside of the first flap. For the blue flaps, I bring out Distress Icicle Crackle paste, and to get good crackles that look like ice, you have to lay it on thick. And in the Sleepy Hollow movie is in an environment where you see the first snowflakes and frost. So I want crackles, and I use a spatula to add the ice crackles around the edges and corners. When the paste is in place but not dry, I add Stamperia's Arctic Glitter Flakes to the paste and let it dry. Next, I do the same to the blue tag. To brighten up my tag and flaps and make my images show, I use Hero Art's white pigment ink and blend it in a halo in the center of each piece. Next, I bring out Dilution's white linen acrylic paint, dilute it with water and create little white snowfall splatters. I attach the flaps to the tag with double-sided tape and glue. I save up space inside the tag so I can use an extra scarecrow head, attach it to a pendulum with a penny at the bottom. The idea is that the pendulum will swing inside the tag and make the scarecrow head move from side to side. It is hard to catch on camera, but it actually works. I attach the pendulum and the scarecrow's head with a foam dot so it can move in that hole, and then I glue down the scarecrow's body behind the head and let it dry. When the glue behind the head and flaps are dry, I test the pendulum and then I glue a black tag as a lid on the back side of this tag. So I decided on the sentiments, and the first to be glued down is Sleepy Hollow, and I cut those words out and glue them on at the top. The next to be chosen is Be wary of the horseman that rides on this night. And finally a quote from Ichabod Crane, the main character, that says, "You must believe me, it was a headless horseman, a dead one, headless." Next I glue down the barn, the horseman, trees, signs, pumpkins and the axe. The last details on these Halloween tags is to use glossy accents on the bats, the skulls, the zombie eyes and brain, the axe, the horseman and pumpkin eyes. And now, these Halloween whimsy mixed media tags are finished, and I will probably sleep for a week. I appreciate you being here with me so much, and I wish you a very happy and not scary Halloween.